Welcome back, I'm the Watch Nerd. On this video, we're going to talk about a very controversial subject, but I absolutely love it because watch investing is such an interesting subject because it's probably one of the worst places you can put money over a certain time period, opposed to houses or stocks or anything like that. But before we get into it, I do want to keep announcing my Chanel chain giveaway. I'm going to be giving out this chain as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to be entered, there's the 4 steps in the description below. Let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, watch investing. Today I was on Christie's auction house looking at their vintage archives, and I saw a Paul Newman Daytona sell for $8,000. Now, this is an original Paul Newman Rolex Daytona, $8,000. Guess the year, April of 1999. I will pop in an image somewhere over here, show you. But this is a Paul Newman Daytona sold for $8,000. So if you bought it from 1999 and it's 2021, you would have to hold on to it for what, 22 years? 22 years with a profit of $290,000, something like that. That's a pretty good profit, right? Point me in any other direction where you could buy a stock for $8,000 over time, over 22 years, and keep that amount. Stocks, maybe certain stocks, but most other things, houses definitely don't appreciate that much. So that's one example. On the high end, this video is meant for all aspects. So I said 3 watches for investment at any budget. So of course we're gonna have some of them in there, the higher end pieces, but let's start with the first one. So I have it in front of me. I truly think that this is an investment. So any Bulova Accutron, criminally underrated, really criminally underrated, because you have a brand that invented the first battery powered movement ever, right? There was never a battery inside a movement before, and then of course quartz took over, but nobody puts enough attention on Accutron, Bulova, and then the Accutron movement at the beginning. Now of course Accutron has made very cool movements in the future. They have really interesting stuff coming out, but I say take a step back. You can pick these up around $200, something like that. This is an all original piece. This one has the crown. It's actually signed in the back. I like that. It adds history. It was a retirement gift for 30 years working as a New York telephone, I'm guessing an operator. So that is pretty cool. 1976. This one's engraved. Very good condition. I wear it all the time. I wear it to sleep. I don't wear it in the shower because of course this doesn't have a screw down crown, but a very, very cool piece. Quick set, hacking of course, and that Accutron movement. So that is number one. I think this will, if you buy one today for $200, something like that, $300, even $300 in this condition. I actually have the factory original bracelet too. You won't do bad at all. I think in the future, this watch, in my opinion, should be at that $500 to $800 range, especially all original like this, because it's so historically important. It was on the moon and everything, so I think that's a little underrated, and there are some value. Now, of course, this is not a guarantee. I just think in the future people will look back on movement makers and historians, and you go back in history and see that. So now for the second level tier. This is extremely hard to come up with one. I think anything with a Valjoux movement, a chronograph, 1950s, 1940s, that will be extremely good in the future, especially those. If you have a good Valjoux movement, hasn't been overused, hasn't been beaten up too much, I think that will add value because of course Rolex used them. Breguet used Valjoux movement, so it was a big deal. So anything like that. And for me, I'm gonna say this Doxa. So I reviewed this recently on the channel. I think it was my last review, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a very, very cool piece, pink gold, awesome watch. And I think if you get it under what, $700, 600, I honestly, I don't know, $800, whatever they go for. I think I don't know how much the return will be, but you are buying a precious metal and a very cool piece. This was extremely hard to do. I had to go think about a long time with this, and this one I personally held. Now, it's impossible really to have a guarantee in the mid-level range. So I recommend, if you can't afford the next subject we're talking about, just go back to the Bulova. I think this has a lot more potential than my second pick. This is the only one I'm a little iffy on. So my last one is the 5538 pre-Daytona. I think this has extreme potential. We have a Rolex, of course. We have a Rolex chronograph. Rolex chronograph before it said Daytona or Cosmograph. We have it ran from if I'm not mistaken, 1951 to 1956. The particular one I'm showing you the footage was part of the private collection, and I am going to get to that in the next video. I am going to go back to the collector, make it a little cooler, because I'm going to go maybe shoot some of the box and papers with some of these vintage pieces, because it's just insane. So, it would be very cool. But that's why I didn't put it in this video. But I think that has, this is the greatest potential of investment out of all three today. This is the best, right? You can pick it up. This is impossible to say the price, right? I say around 45 to 60,000, depending on condition. The one here doesn't have the original bracelet, no box, no papers. But if you find one with a full set for under 60,000, you're set, right? This watch, in my opinion, it is my own opinion, but I think it's equally as cool as not Paul Newman, but that era. Yes, it doesn't say Daytona. It says Rolex chronograph. That's it. It uses a Valjoux movement, of course, as all the Daytonas do. It is hand wind, but it's a screw down crown with pump pushers. I thought that was hilarious. Of course, it's an oyster case, and it's not waterproof because you have the pump pushers. But they chose to put a screw down crown, which is kind of funny, but that's what it is. This particular dial and arrangement was in the James Bond movie. It was right after Sean Connery, before he came back for Diamonds and Beyond. I think it was Her Majesty's Secret Service, if I'm not mistaken. I will put it up. And this watch is a James Bond Rolex for under 60,000 should be your price range. It's very hard to find these pieces, but if you find it for that, that is incredible. I think it will go into that $200,000 range in the future. Who knows how long it will be? I can't guarantee anything. Now, in conclusion, I do want to say that watches are not a great investment. I'm sorry, but they are not. There are so many things I can say that are better investments, but what other joy and pleasure you get with a watch, right? I don't keep safe coins. My personal Rolex Oyster Perpetual in 41 millimeters in green, one of my favorite watches ever. I wear it. I actually beat it up. Well, not beat it up. I try to keep it nice, but I still ding it occasionally. So I don't believe it's safe queens. And even if you ding the the pre-Daytona up, I think it will still go up in value, right? I think that piece will tremendously gross and prosper while you can wear it and enjoy it, and that's what makes watches so special. So that's my little thing on 3 levels. In the future, I would love to do more of these, and if you want some maybe 5 affordable watches that will go up in value, good investments, or 5 ultra expensive, it is very hard to say, Dan, if somebody comes up to me, hey, the watch nerd, right? Find 3 watches that cost between $1,000 and $5,000 that have investment possibilities. I will point you in vintage, but I can't tell you what will happen. It's extreme. That price range is extremely hard to deal with. I always typically choose extremely affordable pieces or very high end. That's just how I operate. I would love to know about it down in the comments below. How do you do collecting? Do you think about financial gain in your collecting? Do you have to think of investment possibilities? I am not extremely rich, so I do have to think about, if I have an emergency, how can I liquidate these watches? Can I get my full value back? Or it's okay if you don't get your full value back, because on a lot of cases you won't. Can I get 80% or 60% or 30%? You have to know that yourself, and that's where it gets a little dangerous when people buy watches on credit cards or with interest rates that are extremely high. They have to get rid of it. Something happens and you lose value. So that's never a good decision in my opinion. So that's it. This is where I'm going to leave it here. What do you think about my picks? I would love to know. Thank you so much. If you do want the Chanel chain giveaway, of course, the 4 steps are in the description below. Thank you, and I will catch you in the next one.